The unstoppable rise of Counter-Strike.
What's up, terrorists? This is the Allahu Act man here, and recently Valve announced Counter-Strike 2 in the most Valve way possible, with a single tweet that said Counter-Strike 2, and a video about new smoke grenades. This in and of itself was enough to light the internet on fire as sweaty op users flooded the streets. After many years of anticipation, Counter-Strike 2 is official. Valve time is real, man. Check out this clip from 12 years ago.
What? I didn't know this. This is an Urban Dictionary thing. A unit of time measurement similar to normal time. However, very flexible. Something that Valve says might take a week, take a day, or something that they say might take a month, will take a year. Generally fluid. Team Fortress 2 players got the bad end of Valve time when the Pyro update was first announced, and got the good end of it when they fixed the infinite health glitch in record time after it was found.
Go.
When are you going to release Counter-Strike 2?
We have to ship Portal 2, and then we have to ship Dota 2, and then we'll worry about Counter-Strike.
But are we going to see it or not?
I can't say.
And just a couple weeks ago, CSGO had over 1.5 million concurrent players, beating the game's previous record of 1.3 million, which was set during the height of the COVID pandemic, when everyone was stuck inside and had nothing to do but play video games.
Yep.
How is this possible? Global Offensive is almost 11 years old, and somehow it's still breaking records? This game is a remake of a remake, and somehow it remains the top dog of first-person shooters. Love it, hate it, or feel completely indifferent, I think everyone is amazed by the continued success of Counter-Strike.
Terrorists win.
But why is it so successful? Why has Counter-Strike only managed to grow despite how little it's changed over the years?
It is the one esport FPS that has not changed. You know, for the most part. I don't keep up with it. I'm not a Counter-Strike guy. But if you look at real sports doesn't get updates to, you know, globally change a game. Video games do get rebalanced all the time to change the meta. You know, there is no meta with real sports. It's just be good at the game. Video games, on the other hand, go through like these waves of like changes, and like, oh, this is good for the game, this is bad for the game, this is good for casuals, this is good for pros, this sucks for like the middle chunk of people. And Counter-Strike has just been around forever and has just not changed, which is really weird. You'd think that a game that has been around forever and it hasn't changed, it would just be like down stonks or whatever. But I don't know. Let's see.
How did this tactical shooter rise to prominence, and why has it maintained such a firm grip on the FPS genre? I had to know, I had to understand, and I believe I found the answers. This is the unstoppable rise of Counter-Strike.
Let's go.
What? Why is he moving and shooting in Counter-Strike? I thought you were supposed to stop his shoot.
With the ace, first round,
I'm literally the best, bro.
But first, are you tired of cookbooks weighing you down? Want to make something other than chili every night? Then you need to subscribe to HelloFresh. It takes all the hassle out of meal prepping, planning, to free up more time in your day. Now you can spend even more time playing video games. Now you can even be more reclusive by not having to go to the grocery store or Walmart and see people's ass cheeks hanging out as you're trying to...
Oh, it's too true. Oh my god, Ackman, that's too fucking true. You gotta stop hitting me with these truth bombs. Bro, if every sponsor video was like this, I would watch it. This shit is got me in stitches.
To get a bushel of lettuce. HelloFresh sends you the ingredients and the recipes directly to your doorstep, and you can customize your preferences for what type of food you like. It also gives you an opportunity to experiment with cooking and try things you might not have otherwise, and further expand your culinary skills. It'll definitely save you money in the long run as the pre-portioned ingredients cut down on waste. Put down a cheeseburger and start eating healthy, amazing meals by HelloFresh.
What's wrong with cheeseburgers, Ackman? What's wrong with cheeseburgers? Ain't nothing wrong with cheeseburgers. I had a freaking cheeseburger like 5 minutes ago, dude. You need to stop hating on cheeseburgers. Cheeseburgers are like moderately okay to eat, all right?
Use my link or go to HelloFresh.com and use PogActman APR50 to get 50% off. And the first box will come with free shipping. Check the link in the description and pinned comment. And thank you HelloFresh for sponsoring this video.
And now for something completely different.
I feel like even the most popular games and genres eventually fall off for some reason or another.
Yeah.
Trends are always changing, right? Take StarCraft 2, for example. In its heyday, it was pretty big competitively, but real-time strategy games have more or less been replaced with MOBAs or MMORPGs. I'm still waiting for Warcraft 4. It's never gonna happen. StarCraft never sucked.
That shit is never gonna happen for real, man.
Necessarily, but people's interests changed. Or think about 3D platformers in the N64 era, the motion control craze with PlayStation Move, Kinect, and Wii, zombie games, battle royales, advanced movement. Counter-Strike has
Yeah, you better throw that advanced movement in there with Titanfall 2, all right? You better put that in there, Ackman.
survived and thrived throughout all of these trends, while at the same time never attempting to copy any of them. Except maybe the zombies thing, but we don't talk about that.
What?
Well, there's also Danger Zone, but apparently we don't talk about that either. Here's a great example, PUBG. It's the only other game to have a higher concurrent player count than CSGO.
What? Who is playing PUBG? What? I thought PUBG was dead.
However, in the long run, CSGO has retained a larger, more consistent audience than PUBG. I mean, granted, there are
24-hour, 400, almost 400,000. What? Compared to CS.
CSGO has retained a larger, more consistent.
Okay, so 24-hour. Wait, when did he take this? Why is the all-time peak almost the same as the 24-hour peak? 1.4 mil.
Consistent audience than PUBG.
Okay, 400 mil.
I mean, granted, there are more
400K.
popular franchises like Call of Duty and whatnot, but this type of longevity, I mean, there's nothing else quite like it, in my opinion. Counter-Strike's success and popularity is nothing but a pure anomaly in the video game industry. It's a juggernaut, but just how popular is it? I mean, you really don't need me to tell you. Just for some perspective, let's go over some fun numbers. So the YouTuber Anomaly made a video going over some data, and he alleges that Valve makes $54 million per month on CSGO cases.
What?
On average.
Shut your mouth and look at my wad! Loads of money!
While Dexerto reports that all the recent buzz on Counter-Strike 2 has generated over $100 million in cases.
Bro, you want to talk about the delusion of CS players and like skins? Holy. Like, there aren't even like pay to win skins. Like, are there? There's no way there's like pay to win skins in like CS or whatever. It's just like a rarity thing. I don't even know, like, I'm not that like learned on this shit, dude. Like, what? Like, at least in Apex, there's like pay to win skins where it's like it makes the iron sight smaller to see more or whatever. With this, it's just like, what? It's just a clear flex.
sales in just the last month.
This is a journey into money.
Like, what the fuck, man? Can I get some of that money, Valve? Pay my rent, please? No doubt many are trying to unlock the most valuable skins before everything moves over to CS2, because who knows how the market is going to change. In 2018, the game made over $400 million in revenue. The average monthly player count borders between 31 and 37 million. Counter-Strike not only makes a shitload of money through arguably unethical means, but it
Gambling, loot boxes.
Checks all the boxes in every other category. High viewership on Twitch, popular views on YouTube, esports attendance is usually sold out. Even when there isn't a tournament, viewership on streaming platforms is consistently high. And with its major championship tournaments, Valve offers prize pools up to $2 million. On esports charts, CSGO has the second highest overall prize pool payout and the fifth highest all-time peak concurrent viewers at 2.7 million. God damn. CSGO in particular is such a competent, technically sound game that one of the biggest changes Valve is making is with smoke grenades. In business, there's only one thing more important than make it better, and that's don't fuck it up. Valve hasn't fucked it up. Most Counter-Strike fans don't seem at all concerned that CS2 might play and feel almost identical to Global Offensive, and that's the point. They could care less. It's the same thing when Dota 2 came out. It was basically just an overhaul of a pre-existing game with minimal changes. One last thing.
Yeah. That's what Overwatch tried to do with Overwatch 2. And we see the overwhelmingly negative feedback that we got from Overwatch, but when Counter-Strike 2 comes out, it's like, oh my god, and they change out smoke grenades. It's like, this is the best thing. You know, you want to talk about delusional audience.
While looking on SteamDB, I found what is probably the most mind-blowing stat of CSGO. This of course depends on the time of day, but when I checked around 6 p.m. on a Monday, it said there was 4.6 million people playing video games on Steam, and CSGO had a player count of 648,000. So if you whip out your handy-dandy calculator and crunch some numbers, this equates to roughly 14% of Steam's active player base was playing CSGO. There are over 10,000 games on Steam, and just one pulled 14%. This is the largest digital distributor of video games on PC. It's just fucking insane how popular this game is. So how did we get here? Well, despite its massive insurmountable success, even Counter-Strike had its humble beginnings. With the release of Half-Life, Valve had taken the world of FPS by storm. Many fans were quick to create their own mods and custom games. Wonder where this is going. Counter-Strike began as a mod for Half-Life, developed by Min Lee and Jess Cliff. The original Counter-Strike would see its fair share of betas, slowly gaining an audience with each new one. The creators actually had to beg people to try the beta out so that they could get feedback and make adjustments.
Bro, this is so funny. Like, if I could have been there, like, during like the beginning days where like CS is trying to like get people to like, come play our game. You play our game, come on, it's gonna be awesome. Oh my god.
Early on, we had to beg people to help us out. Even just to get playtesters, we had to beg people, hey, do you want to come play our mod? And a lot of people would be like, no, no thanks, not interested. So we just kind of put it out there thinking, you know, a couple hundred people might think it was cool.
But by the time the 5th beta came out, Counter-Strike's audience was well established, and it caught the eye of Valve, who would hire Min and Jess to work on the mod full-time as its own standalone release. And Valve would acquire the intellectual property of Counter-Strike, which this and the acquisition of Dota 2 remain two of the biggest
He had flip-flops on.
Fucking power plays in the history of gaming. In a landscape dominated by fast-paced arena shooters like Quake and Unreal Tournament, Counter-Strike was a surprisingly bold take on the FPS format.
Yeah, so you have the dichotomy between movement shooter and standstill shooter. Completely polar opposites as far as like FPSs go.
Its design was the polar opposite of what was popular at the time.
Yep.
And it's a format that hasn't gone.
Why? It's because, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but moving and shooting or strafing and shooting is way harder than standing still and shooting.
out of style, unlike fedoras. Min Lee felt that adding rounds and making it a one life mode could create intense encounters and encourage players to work together. Like Nostradamus, his prediction was dead on, and the Counter-Strike community continued to grow and thrive. Many of the aforementioned arena shooters may have seemed daunting to players new to first-person shooters.
Yeah, they seem daunting because there's so much movement, so many pixels in front of their face, so much visual clutter, so many fast things happening left and right, where it's like, it's daunting. And unless you were like raised in that environment and you have like some sort of like base skill, it's like you're not going to be able to compete with any player that's already been doing this for a little bit
in PC gaming. But Counter-Strike was extremely simple and accessible.
Yeah.
And
easy, what was it? Easy to play, hard to master, or just something like that. Easy to pick up, hard to master, something like that.
It was this simplicity that drew in casuals, but because it was hard to master, it drew in hardcore gamers too. The modern setting of Counter-Strike,
the never-ending quest for the one flame flick,
terrorists against counter-terrorists, also made it stand out from the crowd. When most other shooters, including Half-Life, had a more sci-fi setting, the release of CS 1.0 saw the beginning of the game's competitive scene, and the addition of a spectator mode back then, it was a pretty big deal. The final major version of Counter-Strike, 1.6, created a huge surge of interest in the game and began what many believe was the first golden age of Counter-Strike and the birth of modern-day esports as we know it. The first big tournament was hosted in 2001 and it offered a prize pool of $150,000, pretty substantial for the time.
Yeah.
And every year since then, the series has had countless tournaments. Counter-Strike struck gold. In many ways, it pioneered esports and competitive gaming and set the gold standard for what tournaments and events like these should be like. And the success of its early tournaments would set the tone for years to come. But 1.6 wasn't the only version of Counter-Strike. We're going to talk about the versions nobody really cares about anymore.
So now I guess he's going to get into the versions of Counter-Strike, which is all like over my head.
With the rising growth of consoles and Xbox Live, as well as the unprecedented success of 1.6, Valve saw an opportunity to bring Counter-Strike to console.
Oh boy. Console Counter-Strike. What a sentence.
Would you look at that? I've still got my copy.
What the fuck is that?
The #1 online PC action game in the world, now on Xbox.
Bro, I remember when this shit came out. I was working at CC's and some of my buddies got me into this for a little bit, and I was just like, oh my god, this is horrible. Give me Call of Duty. Standing still, only one life, just do the match. It's like, no, dude, give me my movement. This shit sucks.
The results were interesting. Visually, the game looked worse than 1.6, but I remember having a blast back in the day, and the game sold well enough for what it was. If anything, for console plebs like me who weren't big into first-person shooters on PC, it put Counter-Strike on the map. And it did mark the introduction of bots to the series. But if you didn't have access to Xbox Live, there was little point in playing it. This was the first new Counter-Strike released after 1.6, and it seems that Valve found it challenging to evolve and iterate on the Counter-Strike formula because of how fine-tuned and simplistic it was. Introduced too many new mechanics or gimmicks, and it could have disastrous results. So it's a good thing they added the tactical shield. While the console version of Counter-Strike did surprisingly well, Valve soon asked a very important question. Hey guys, what if we made a single-player campaign for... Okay, nobody gives a shit. All right.
Was this a thing? Well, did there ever used to be a campaign for Counter-Strike? Look at Counter-Strike being all cute over there in the corner thinking they're Call of Duty and shit. Oh my god. I wish I would have played that. I didn't though.
Right, good to know.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Counter-Strike Condition 0, aptly named because there are 0 conditions in which you should be playing this. It released less than a year before Half-Life 2 and CS Source, and well...
Or wait.
It failed to impress. The game was handled by 4 different studios and went through development hell, so it makes sense. Valve had little to do with it, so it didn't have a huge impact on their reputation, but fans of 1.6 quickly noticed that there wasn't much to draw them in.
No.
So Condition Zero has been left largely forgotten, and I think Valve wants to keep it that way. It remains, however, the only Counter-Strike game with a single-player campaign. Half-Life 2 showed off Valve's new Source engine in a way that blew people's minds. And like the original Half-Life, it spurred the creation of a new Counter-Strike. The release of Counter-Strike Source served to modernize the game with Valve's revolutionary Source engine, and it served as a flagship title for what was a relatively new gaming platform at the time, Steam. It was essentially nothing more than a remake, but the player base became somewhat fractured, as many didn't agree with changes to the
Oh my god, switching montage. Oh, so cool.
core gameplay. Flashbangs were made more powerful, and new recoil patterns had fundamentally changed the fine-tuned gameplay they were used to. I think this was one of the first major examples of the Counter-Strike community being very, very resistant to change, which does explain how little has changed.
Yep.
Source blows my mind that people have almost kind of omitted it
It's Richard Lewis
from Counter-Strike history. It did have some issues at launch, I don't think there's any doubt about that, which did turn a lot of the people off, because obviously if you've got an existing game that's been out for years and it's great and everything works perfectly fine because it's been tweaked, and then you've got something new and it doesn't quite work, obviously you're gonna stick to the one that you know and stick to the one that you feel is complete.
Counter-Strike Source did something very, very important though. It introduced a concept that would end up earning Valve billions of dollars. Skins and cosmetics.
Yeah.
Apart from just being flashy ways to express yourself, Valve allowed—
Bro, this shit is not even like pay to win at all. Like, let me see this one more time.
cosmetics. Apart from just—
What is this? Black and white with like a little bit of blue? Who gives a fuck?
being flashy.
Oh, some fire. Ooh. Wait. What is this? Like a fucking like lion or something? Like a I don't know, a 50-year-old guy that rides on a motorcycle with like a flaming arm tattoo or some shit.
Ways to express yourself.
Oh my god, black and red. I can express myself. These skins are ass, dude.
Valve allowed a whole new wave of creativity, as any player could retexture maps, player models, weapons, skins, etc. It was clear that Counter-Strike would innovate through its aesthetics more so than radical gameplay changes. So pro players were kind of torn between focusing on the aging version of 1.6 and this new version that was somewhat divisive. Still, CS Source kept the train rolling towards something greater, and there were tons of tournaments. The game certainly didn't fail. It still had a very successful competitive scene, but there was a lot of controversy surrounding it and its changes. Source also saw a huge boom in community servers and custom games, surfing maps that have become iconic to the franchise. From its initial creation to 1.6 to Counter-Strike Source to Global Offensive, and I'm sure CS2, Counter-Strike has and always will be a game driven by its community. As many of Valve's titles were created by modders, Counter-Strike itself is very modular.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Valve has certainly leaned into this community support with mods, custom skins, and they even promote items that fans can vote on if they should be added to the game.
I have never seen a game do that. Like, hey, do you guys want the skin in the game? Vote yes or no. And then it either gets put in or not. That is like such a good idea. I mean, I don't know if it still gets used or whatever, but like on the surface, like knee-jerk reaction, that seems pretty cool. As far as like the whole community driving the game, yeah, that seems legit. I've never seen a community driven game like ever really like fail terribly, or at least not that I can immediately think of. Like another game would be Skyrim. You know, look how many mods are for that game. Look at like the new Harry Potter game. Look how many mods are for that game. People are only going to make mods for games that they think are good.
User-generated content like this ensures that should you ever get bored of the standard game modes, there's always something wild and wacky to check out. The Counter-Strike community is definitely one of the most interesting And if you hop into a match, it won't be long before you hear some fun conversations.
Oh?
He's right in front of me, I heard him.
Oh my god, is that a gamer girl? Princess, could you speak? Excuse me, gamer girl. Watch this. Miss Gamer Girl, watch this. Excuse me, Gamer Girl, did you see that?
There's
yeah, that's just weird, dude. Like, oh my god. It's so bad that, like, women online have to, like, deal with that dumb shit with, like, idiots like this. Oh my god. That's one thing I do not regret being one for, like, online. You know, you just get, like, you get harassed just for, like, opening your mouth and doing normal communication things.
a massive community for custom maps, surfing, roleplay, hide and seek, jailbreak. The Steam Workshop hosts over 100,000 independently created maps. Some are better than others, but once you play hide and seek in Shrek's Night House, well, I mean, everything else just looks worse in comparison. The Counter-Strike community could essentially be summarized in that classic door stuck clip.
Cheat on your man, homie. Ah, I tried to sneak through the door, man. Can't make it. Can't make it. The shit's stuck. Out of my way, son! Door stuck! Door stuck!
Wacky, goofy fun in a game that appears to be super serious. So CSGO released on August 21st, 2012, at just the right time, and fan reception was mostly positive. Though there were some rough areas of the game and balancing issues, these were quickly patched out by Valve. It's interesting to note that there are 360 and PS3 ports of CSGO, but I'm pretty sure they have literally never been updated.
Oh god.
Like, why bother?
Yeah, there's like no one playing those things, dude. They're all busy playing Call of Duty, slamming some Mountain Dew and Doritos.
The gameplay was straight up not tuned for controller, and they didn't even change the aiming. It's the exact same as it is on PC.
So with controller, you will always have perfect smoothness, but I don't even know if they even had like aim assist in that version of CS. I would bet not, which is kind of hilarious. So it's like, unless you're like a goated ass controller player that plays on like some sort of like high sense or whatever, and your flicks are like pretty quick, then you don't really stand a chance. I don't even know if this game had like crossplay. I don't think so. But like a team of controllers versus another team of controllers, it's like, it just sounds weird.
So it just doesn't work. The release of CSGO came at the perfect time when streaming was starting to really pick up. This combined with the growing esports scene and, you know, new tournaments for this new Counter-Strike game,
There's
it
your
only
boy.
made CSGO rise to greater and greater heights. The game arguably returned to the roots of 1.6, and Valve listened to the competitive community. Today, CSGO is almost 11 years old, and though it definitely shows age in the visual department, technically the game is pretty much flawless. Aiming is as precise as it can possibly be. The core mechanics remain solid. Counter-Strike as a series is laser focused on one single thing, and that's a key to its success. Gameplay. You can't help but appreciate the beauty in its simplicity. There was an 8-year gap between the first trailer for Global Offensive and the second. Like, you know what I mean? Like, cinematics don't promote the game itself does that. There is no complex story. Valve isn't trying to sell you new heroes or a cast of characters. In a world where it seems like
No, and I think that's one of the downfalls of like things like Overwatch, where they try to promote like, oh, look at all our heroes. Look at how much diversity we have or whatever. It's like, no, it's just a bunch of dudes in masks versus another bunch of dudes in masks. The person underneath can be whoever you want it to be. And it's like, it's all about the game.
every major franchise is trying to be this multimedia juggernaut, Counter-Strike just is like, hey, play our fun game. No flashy gimmicks, no wall running or custom classes or campaigns or any of that shit. All the mainstream trends that other shooters have adopted are things that Counter-Strike has never really cared about. Therefore, it's always maintained its identity and stood out from the hordes of other shooters, many of whom have become irrelevant or have lost a substantial audience. Counter-Strike has never really tried to be something that it wasn't initially. Like, there's never been a space like Counter-Strike in space, or a medieval Counter-Strike. But that's the thing, because the game is so modular and the mechanics so competent, Counter-Strike in space does sound kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well,
and also, it's like, that's the same thing that real sports tries to do. Real sports, like, it's not gonna ever be like basketball in space, or there was that one spin-off of basketball where they had like trampolines under each hoop or whatever, and that was really fun to watch. Not gonna lie. But as far as like competitive integrity or whatever, it's like, no, it's just basketball is basketball. Baseball is baseball. It's not changing ever.
Personally would love to see a wider variety of weapons or crazy ass map design. I'm a casual, and I certainly don't think the game should be catered to me. I enjoy what's there. And because Counter-Strike doesn't need to do it.
And I think Ackman has a really healthy outlook towards this. It's not the game's responsibility to cater itself around the different tiers of players, all right? I think that's because there's a competent matchmaking system in CS. I'm not entirely sure. But then again, CS is like, with like the awesomeness of CS, with how many like people like play it in like CS2 and all this jazz, it's the more popular a game is, the more likely it is to have cheaters in it. So I don't really know if he's going to touch on that at all, but it's whatever. But what I was initially getting at was that, shit, I just lost my thought. What the fuck did he say?
Crazy ass map design. I'm a casual, and I certainly don't think the game should be catered to me.
Yes, it's not a game's job to listen to the community or whatever. The game is just supposed to be the game. If you like the game, then play the game. If you don't like the game, for whatever reason, then don't play the game. All right? If you like basketball, play basketball. Don't complain that the basketball is like, oh, I got tiny hands. I can't grip the ball like all the professionals. Oh, the hoop's too high. I can't dunk like the professionals. Oh, let me just lower the hoop. Oh, so I can dunk too. Oh. You know, same with baseball. It's like let's do it again. Oh, the baseball is X amount of big. Oh, I have a huge hand. My hand is way too big to throw a baseball because it's just like, it's too much. I have to either fingertip it, or if I palm it, I can't get a good throw, or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, the bases are too far. I can't run good or whatever. It's like the batter's box. I'm too tall. My strike zone is like way too big. It's too easy to throw a strike on me. Oh my goodness. What should we do? It's not the sport's job to provide a good experience to the audience. The audience just comes because they like the sport. If you're not good at it, get good at it.
I enjoy what's there. And because Counter-Strike doesn't need to do anything different. What it's been doing has been continuously successful. Because the game is so finely tuned, the skill ceiling is massive. The lack of attachments means you have no
and because of the skill ceiling is so high, like the discrepancy between like a professional player and like a casual is like massive.
Excuse for poor aim. There are no crutches and no cripples allowed. A lack of outside factors or random bullshit makes it a purely skill-based game, which means pulling off some badass plays, it feels incredibly satisfying.
And I think that's what Ackman is getting at. No real FPS is going to tout itself as being the skillful shooter and have such longevity in like the gaming space and have such a huge audience. Because if if this were like any other game, really, with like such a high, I don't know, skill ceiling, it's like usually high skill ceiling games are like they're just dead because they're too hard. But CS is the outlier.
And again, it doesn't have the feedback of Modern Warfare 2 where you level up and there's this badass guitar riff.
Yep.
You don't have points appearing on the screen when you get a kill. It is as basic as it can be. Look at the game modes too. It's very simple. Deathmatch, bomb defusal, hostage rescue. Counter-Strike is a true expression of FPS skill. I've never particularly been a huge fan of Counter-Strike.
I would argue different though, Actman. I would argue that actual aim trainers are a better representation of FPS skill. But that's me though. That's my opinion.
Strike, but like the bragging rights that come associated with pulling off some badass play, like that's alluring to me. Counter-Strike is the definition of easy to learn, hard to master.
There you go.
Where most other franchises as old as Counter-Strike have tried their hand at various different things. Call of Duty in space, Halo, but it sucks, and Dragon Age, but it's shitty, Mass Effect, but it sucks. Counter-Strike found what stuck and just kept that going. In fact, it's this lack of change that has made it so popular. Anybody who's ever played a video game can watch a match of CSGO and know exactly what's happening without ever touching the game themselves. Try showing someone StarCraft 2 who's never played a real-time strategy game and watch their fucking head spin as the screen is though I'm not as experienced in Counter-Strike.
What he's getting at is like if you were to show like a normal person CS, it's very easy to get them to realize what is happening. Oh, this is the blue team, this is the red team. They just have to put this bomb there. If they die, if the whole team dies, the other team wins. They only got one life. Okay, that team won that round. Everything starts again. All right. Oh, they get to buy some stuff to like try to help him. He's buying armor. He's buying a gun. He's buying a sniper. And just how the guns look, it's very easy to tell this is like some sort of pistol. This is like an AR. This is a sniper. Whatever. It's not visually daunting to look at. It's not like you're looking at like a transformer, like going through like their like transforming mode. It's like, what the fuck is happening? All right.
I'm willing to bet that there are individual patches in League of Legends that have introduced more game-breaking things than the entirety of Counter-Strike's history.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet on that. Counter-Strike's lack of change is one of its greatest strengths, right? Imagine if
lack of change for a video game is in essence the same thing as a sport that never changes. A real sport that never changes, basketball, football, baseball, hockey, whatever.
PS2 came out and it didn't have dust. Now, one thing many people might not consider when thinking about CSGO's popularity is that it's on Valve's platforms, so it plays by Valve's rules. They've always been one of the most unorthodox game developers and publishers, but because Valve owns Steam, they can give the game as much free advertising as they want. They can promote upcoming tournaments and updates on the largest PC game store on the planet. Counter-Strike was often featured in seasonal Steam sales, which always drew in a constant stream of new players. And once Valve had sold 40 million copies of CSGO, well, they decided to transition to a free-to-play model. Again, they're just making all the right business moves. Though naturally, with a game this massive, there's going to be a fair share of controversy. I'm not going to spend...
He always shows the T. Martin clips for controversy.
A long time talking about like loot boxes, lawsuits, and that sort of thing, because ultimately these things didn't have a huge noticeable impact on the popularity. Skins and cosmetics have become a huge draw for players, but Valve's lack of involvement in regulating gambling websites has led to a lot of shady shit.
Oh boy.
Some content creators, you might remember, would like to have you forget about a controversy they were involved in. Hey guys, it's Actman here, and I just found this website called CSGO Lotto. I totally don't own it. You should go there and spend money.
He goes in so hard on this bit, dude. Oh man.
Hey guys, I just found this Patreon from a guy called the Act Man. I don't know who he is and I don't own this Patreon, but you should go and donate. You know, Valve has had some lawsuits filed against them, and it took a long time for them to take action against these illicit websites. But, you know, these egregious, arguably unethical monetization practices didn't slow the game's popularity. Now, many thought the release of Valorant in 2020 would have a huge impact on CSGO's numbers. But no, not really. Up until 2021, CSGO had only grown. There were some months where the numbers dipped down, but it was never for long. Until 2021, where the game's player base dipped for 5 consecutive months, the first and only time this would happen in CSGO's history. Previously, the game had never lost players for more than 3 months straight, so this was concerning. CSGO was bound to fail at some point.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
So why did it lose players at this time? Well, in an effort to combat cheaters and hackers.
Of course, you can't mention CS without the cheaters.
Valve put out an update that threw ranked matchmaking behind a paywall.
Wow, I did not know that.
This didn't go over too well with parts of the community, as it seemed.
So I get the thought process behind it. So this is the point of this is to make it so that it's harder for people that play with cheats to get into like legitimate lobbies. So like, what do you have to do at this point? CS is free, so it's free to sign up for CS. But what do you have to do? You have to subscribe, make a new account. You have to subscribe to get new cheats. And now a third speed bump, you have to pay for a ranked to get into ranked and start playing ranked. So that's 3 speed bumps as opposed to only 2 that you would have had to get into. Now, I'm sure this wasn't really an issue for like any of the like pro players or anything because they got money, but like for the most part, if CS wants to say that they have like a lot of players, most of those players are like casuals and like just regular ass people, and regular ass people don't got a lot of money, and regular ass people do not want to pay money to go play a ranked video game, period.
Seemed like, hey, maybe improve anti-cheat or, you know, ban their IP address or something. Maybe there were just better alternatives to focus on instead of paywalling ranked. Although this decline was short-lived and CSGO is once again back on top and breaking records. Which brings us to the current day and the release of Counter-Strike 2, which will likely further cement the game's legacy and position as the gold standard of first-person shooters. Still, it is a delicate balance to maintain, and if Valve isn't careful, CS2 could be the start of Counter-Strike's fall from grace. Unlikely as it may be, the possibility is still there.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
The unstoppable rise of Counter-Strike still amazes me after investing all this time and effort into researching, playing, and making this video. It seems like Valve captured lightning in a bottle, and rather than trying to recreate that, they've simply been remaking it. As I can't think of any other game that has changed as little as Counter-Strike maintained such a massive level of popularity. Given how resistant the Counter-Strike community is to change, it's incredible that CSGO has seen hundreds of updates over the years, and that most of them haven't pissed off the core fan base. Also, that level of support for a game almost 11 years old is quite rare. It appears that Valve doesn't want CS2 to repeat some of the mistakes Source made, and I don't expect many radical changes to happen. Few update videos they have put out have resonated with the community. From humble mod to worldwide esports titan of the industry, Counter-Strike has been a dominant force in the FPS genre for over 2 decades. And I doubt that's going to change in the next 10 years. And that has been the unstoppable rise of Counter-Strike. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe to the Act Man for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe to HelloFresh and get yourself some incredible food and recipes delivered straight to your house. Use the link in the description and pinned comment. All right, everyone, that's all I got for today. This is the Act Man signing out. Peace.
Woo.
But do you know the one thing that makes Counter-Strike better than Valorant? Gambling.
Oh my god.
What's up, Terry?
Oh my god. Gambling. Oh man, that is too funny, dude. That is too good. Yeah, man. CS is like been an unstoppable force, and is probably like, why isn't this shit in the fucking Olympics? You know, like, why is it gotta be like some fucking like Wii Sports bullshit? You know, no one is gonna show up for that. Like the video game portion for the Olympics for that. If they were to shove at minimum Counter-Strike, they would have a way better show out than whatever like Wii Sports things they got going on in there. Oh man. Okay, let me see. What else? Russians love Counter-Strike so much that when Putin announced the draft, literally half of the CS:GO player base left for a day. I don't know if that's actually true. What? Oh my god. That's actually funny. You know, when Valve announces a game with 2 in the title, it's going to be the last game of that franchise. Only when Gaben becomes a world leader will we know for sure that there won't be a World War III. True. Yeah, but overall, I think this was an awesome video that just shows you the rise of this awesome game. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'll play it in the future. We'll see. But definitely a great video, man. As always, freaking awesome. All right, that's about it. Later.